Hello, everybody. Welcome to Western Regional Apprentice Competition. My name is Will Schwarz, Executive Director of UA Pipe Industry College. With me today, special guest Mike Gordon from UA Canada. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Thank you for having me, Will. Very happy to be here.
It's a great week. It's great to have you out.
Well, it's exciting watching the apprentices at work and doing their thing, and looking forward to the award ceremony later on this evening to see everybody. They're all winners, but looking forward to seeing those recognized that performed exceptionally well and excelled beyond.
Absolutely. And I mean, they're all winners, but there's some that are bigger winners than others.
You got it.
Excellent. So let's get into the basics here. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm the UA Canadian Director of Training, and what that means essentially is I get to work with all the training departments across Canada, including UA Local 170 here in beautiful Vancouver. We have, as you know, upwards of 32 training centers across the country, over 1 million square feet of training space and capacity to deliver training to, our members, but also we engage with our communities, as you know.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So what's your actual trade background? What are you?
That's a really good question. I'm told I'm excitable, but let's start with trades. Plumber was my original trade. Also steam fitter, red seal in both. Gas Tech A, which in back where I'm from, it's called Gas Tech 1. Oil Burner Tech 1, which would be considered, I guess, for the red seal oil heat system installer, and then also petroleum mechanic. So there's a lot going on there.
You've been a busy man.
Yes. Like many of our folks. You know what? This isn't unique to me. Training directors across the country that support their training departments, they all are multi-faceted with their trades.
And that, I guess that's saying when you get your red seal, that's really your ticket to start learning.
Yes. To begin your journey as a journey person.
Absolutely. That's great. So what's your home local? Where are you originally from?
I'm a proud member of UA Local 46 in Toronto, covering a vast area and the largest local in Canada right now.
Wow. And so your work history leading up to you now, obviously working for UA Canada, how did your pathway go for you to arrive there?
You know what? I started a little bit late. In the UA, I was in the trades, but not originally through the United Association and in trades other than pipe trades. And I actually, there's a little bit of a story. I had a good friend of mine that was going to apply over at Local 46 for a broadcasted intake. And I went with him, just to keep him company. And through some convincing, of course, because I was saying there's no way in hell I wanted to start all over again. And I kept him company to go to this. And unfortunately, my good buddy did not get in on that first opportunity, and I did. So it was a little bit of a level of awareness that this is real. It's not one of those things where it's just open to everybody that is seeking this out. You have to be, you have to stand out in different ways. And it's not because what I got to learn is it's not because that the UA is restrictive. The UA is looking to hire people that they can put to work. And we know that it's a competitive industry. There's no shortage of people seeking to join our organization because of the wraparound benefits and support received through the United Association. And I was very fortunate to get in, and the rest, they say, is kind of history.
No kidding. So just to back up, you went with your buddy to support him getting into the UA,
yes.
And he didn't get in, but you got in.
That was an awkward conversation, I got to tell you. I received a letter in the mail, and it said, and it wasn't even something that I remotely even considered. Yeah. I get this letter saying, come back for safety and awareness orientation, and right away as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, I wonder if my buddy got the same letter. And if he did, he might have already called me. What do I do now? And, eventually he did reach out and say, did you hear from these folks? And I had to let him know that I did. Yeah. Right. And, it has a good ending. That same buddy is now a member of UA Local 46 as well.
Excellent.
Steam fitter and progressing well, I'm sure.
That's great news. So through your progression, how did you finally end up at UA Canada?
Good question. You know what? I would say that they say that people that excel at running, it's not just about the training. It's because they love to run. They just love to do what they're doing. And I think, you know, you either have something in you that's, if you're going the training route, it's not about money and income. It's about seeking to give back. And when I first took on the opportunity at Local 46, the reason why I was able to step back in pay as an apprentice and take on that role is because I was a mentor for a program similar to Children's Aid, where I work for a home where we look after young adults that are transitioning from their previous circumstance to going out on their own. These could be foster children, or whatnot. But it's an opportunity that I live there with them, and I look after them in just to the extent that is to make sure that they do what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And if they have questions, they know that they have somebody there to support them. And that's always been kind of in my DNA, is that I like mentoring people, and what greater place to do it than in the trades. So my passion for training and for passing on information continued. And I was approached several times by my then director of training at my local to say, would you teach? And my response was, there's too many courses I want to take. How am I going to be able to teach? I'm not going to be able to actually learn anything if I'm teaching. And you know, when you're approached for something like that and you look at the organization and its broader scale of what it represents, I don't think anybody ever feels I'm the right person or I'm prepared. You typically kind of feel a little bit, obviously you feel nice to have been provided that offer, but on the other end, you never feel worthy. And you know, I got through a lot of encouragement when I got to where I was in a level of comfort. I was teaching right away. I mean, right after I got my first credential as a plumber and as a gas tech, right away I started teaching night school. I started teaching at the local colleges as well, under contract. And then Local 46 scooped me up on a full-time basis while I'm there. I really love what I was doing. It became a little bit of a battle between the college and 46 of who was going to get me, and that was a nice place to be.
Yeah.
And 46 didn't leave that to chance and said, no, that he's ours. And I was quite happy about that. And lots of opportunities since. And soon after I was doing the teaching, more and more opportunities came. I started getting involved. And, you know, this is maybe something really good to mention, is that our training directors and the people that support our training departments, our instructors, all act as subject matter experts for industry. And a lot of our members aren't aware of the different opportunities that are provided to them because of our training department's advocacy.
Right.
And this is in all ways, shapes, and forms. And I'm sure we're going to get into that, but that's some of the things I got involved in as the chair for the Plumbing and Steam Fitting Committee for Ontario, my province. And it just kept going that direction. And people started noticing. Our trustees said, we got to get this person groomed. They saw me as the new person to take over the local as far as the training director's capacity. And before that could happen, I was titled as the assistant director of training for Local 46. And, you know, within a few years, I got a call from our head office, from then director of Canadian Affairs, asking if I'd be interested. And I had to pinch myself, thought I was dreaming, you know, and here we are. I mean, great opportunity. You know, I got to say that it's a little bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because I'm a people person and I really missed being at work, having my door open, getting up and going in and talking to students directly. I really do miss that. On the other end of that, I looked at it as an opportunity to help more people, and then meeting people like yourself, Will. You know, we would meet intermittently as training directors of our locals, but now I get the privilege of being able to travel around and help out a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very well said. Thank you. You know, now that you're at the helm and you've taken that role on, and I must say, doing a fantastic job at it, obviously you see a new perspective of things. You know, you're well informed of things within your scope earlier, but as you move on and you progress to that next role, you see other challenges ahead. So what is it for you that has really caught your eye for challenges ahead that you're you're charting that course and you have that on your radar, the challenges that are to come?
Good question. I think there's a few themes that I would look at. One of them would be mixed messaging. There's a lot of, if we could call it pollution that's out there. It creates confusion when there's opportunities, there's opportunists, and I'm not looking to put any type of a negative spin on things, but just a level of awareness to anybody watching this. Do your research if you're looking to get into the trades. And when I say that, apprenticeship by its nature was designed to earn while you learn, and to, when you become licensed and qualified in your trade, that you get there and don't have a huge astronomical debt shouldered to you on the start of your journey as a professional. Well, the marketplace has kind of changed. There's a lot of entities out there that have popped up through different government grant opportunities and things like that have received funding, and they're popping up everywhere, whether it's private career colleges. But the main followed suit agenda is, there's a paid right of entry into the trades now. And I don't think that's right. And some of the mixed messaging that comes with that is that there's a lot of people out there that believe that they can't get into a trade if they don't go that route.
Right.
Further to that, a lot of these entities are doing things that you would already learn within the apprenticeship. There is a place for it, but I think there needs to be more of a standardized an entity that creates some kind of oversight. So it could be a standardized expectation for somebody looking to enter into a pre-entry program. There's no oversight currently for anybody entering any path of pre-entry. None.
And that it's interesting that you say that, because it kind of leads into my next question. There are a lot of pre-entry trades programs out there these days. And I know our college offers a number of pre-entry trades programs.
Yes.
We have Piping Foundation, Welding Foundation, our Triad Trades programs in partnership with the BC Building Trades.
Right.
What sets the UA apart with the entry programs we offer versus, these other privates that are out there?
Yes. Well, I'll start by saying Local 170 does a fantastic job. We don't call it the fun local for nothing. So, all locals across Canada have strengths in different areas. There's no one that stands out above all others as the be all and end all. But the great thing is we all learn from each other, and we try to constantly improve, and we collaborate, and we're constantly seeking to make things better. But to that end, our programs, what sets us apart is that over 90% of the people that enter our programs become registered apprentices.
Wow.
So they're actually tied to a career. And, I don't know how to fix this generally overall, what the path is going to be for the government, because you have this conundrum that you've got the federal government providing incentives from that end, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But then you have on the provincial and territorial jurisdictional governments, you're looking at, they also have incentives, and they're trying to do the right thing, and they're being guided by many subject matter experts, but also by lobbyist groups and others that are seeking to try to make more opportunities for profit, unfortunately. And it's to try to get through the fog of all of that and make sure that we're doing the right things. We do have a suggestion that we presented to the government for pre-entry programs. Why not do what we're doing really well here at the UA?
Yeah.
Let's create a level of conscience for every group out there that receives any type of monies, whether it's federal or provincial, for a pre-entry program. What would that be? Currently right now, if you become registered as an apprentice, you're assigned a number that follows you throughout your apprenticeship, and then thereafter as you become a journey person. Why don't we assign a pre-entry number to any pre-entry program as a requirement by government, whether it's federally or provincially, have that as a requirement to access their funds for any purpose in the future.
Yeah.
If you perform well, and you're actually, now we can track these people and see that the promises of, 90% placement that any other entity would say that could just be a job for a month and then they're gone. Let's make sure they're actually registered as an apprentice. So they have a future ahead, and that the hours that they do get experience with is counted against their apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Not that they have to start over with another person and another company and another company. Let's be fair with these people that, quite frankly, are putting a big investment of their time. And in these instances of for-profit groups, it can be a tremendous amount of dollars. I mean, we've heard of programs for 3 months, they're being charged upwards of $7,000
Wow.
to just engage in training that they would have otherwise already received, right? So I think if we were, and I'm just going to reiterate this, we need to have a pre-entry registration number, and that's our recommendation to government.
That makes too much sense.
Yeah. And you know what? It's a level of exercising due diligence and appropriate fiscal spending for any government to say that you're getting results. And guess what happens? The groups that are out there for the wrong reasons will disappear if they don't adjust course and do it for the right reasons. And the ones that are having success, they will get more funding and will help more people. It doesn't all have to be the UA or the union way, but it has to be to the right way.
Absolutely. And, it's funny that automatically makes me think of other post-secondary ventures. When you think of colleges, universities, you have your personal education number that follows you, your transcripts, the credits. They're portable throughout the country. You can take them, you can drop a degree here, you can pick one up there. And we have proven systems in post-secondary already.
Yes.
And the trade side of things, in my mind, I think that it's lagging in those areas, things that have already been established within the post-secondary world, where we can apply that to the trade side as well, and it will
100%.
really help it flourish.
100%. And, to your earlier question about what are some of the opportunities there as well, here's another one, is our credentials aren't currently, in some jurisdictions are starting to, but our credentials right now, unlike the U.S., where they recognize you as a trades professional and they credit you if you're going to seek other professions like project management, engineering, and whatnot, there's no such recognition here in Canada other than in a few isolated situations. So we're trying to change that. We've had lots of conversations with different jurisdictions. We're hoping that the right decisions could be made. And guess what? If we're seeking to assign value to the Red Seal, to the trades that we represent, let's recognize them on the professional level and recognize our people as the professionals that they are.
Absolutely. Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Now, it's funny how well it kind of suits. We're talking education. We're talking about that continuation throughout and the importance of that trades training.
Yes.
Micro-credentialing comes into play in a lot of conversations now. What are your thoughts on micro-credentialing? Specifically, how will it impact the trades?
Well, I think I'll preface it by saying micro-credentialing hasn't been properly defined. And I mean, at the provincial or jurisdictional level or at the federal level, it has not been defined as it applies to different types of professions. And when we talk about the different types of occupations that are out there, the different types of professions, you can't put all quote-unquote trades under the same category. Hairdressing, that's a reputable trade. But you can't look to paint them with the same brush. You're doing them a disservice if you paint them with the same brush as construction, service, and maintenance trades. Let's, look at it from the perspective of how can we best serve this group, and it's a pretty straightforward process to do that. But then thereafter, we can address their specific needs. When we talk about micro-credentialing specifically, I have very big concerns. And the concerns are this: without properly defining them, they can be applied in the wrong ways. We've engaged in different stakeholder meetings with the federal government to talk about what things can we bring to add value to the Red Seal trades. And because the UA represents 9 Red Seal trades, we have a vested interest to make sure that does happen. So one of the things that we mention is that we don't want, if you're looking to add value, you don't want to detract value. And what do I mean by that? Micro-credentials that are put forward as a gap filler to fill a void for perceived need that shortcuts an overall apprenticeship is cutting away and devaluing the trade that it actually belongs to.
Right.
You're not creating a step into that into that industry. You're actually displacing those that are doing the full scope of that trade, and by devaluing what they do. And we've realized that in many instances here in BC where we are, they went through that process. We're still going through the battle with micro-credentialing to make sure that it's done appropriately, it's applied appropriately. And, here's a good guide for us. If we're going to have micro-credentials, how do we make it a value add? Simple. The prerequisite for the building trades is that you need to have a prerequisite that you are first and foremost a tradesperson. So the training that you're going to get as a micro-credential is an add-on and builds our trades, increases their value, not cuts their legs from under them and takes their opportunities away.
Absolutely. Oh, it makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
So UTIP grants, Union Training and Innovation. We have all been very successful with our UTIP grant submissions. We've been able to see the benefit our members have received from these grants, what we've been able to do for training, what we've been able to do for the technology.
Yes.
What has UTIP grants meant for your organization, and what are your hopes and future grants to come, whether it's pursuing specific items, or what are you thinking with future UTIP grants?
A lot to unpack there. Our successes thus far, pre-pandemic, UTIP allowed us, we've always considered ourselves visionaries, looking to increase opportunities for our members. That's our purpose. We need to make sure to be thinking, and that should be rightfully the expectation of our members, that we're looking ahead to see what's going to be the needs, the forecasted needs of industry, and prepare proactively to meet them.
Right.
So to that end, we discuss and we have meetings with all our training directors across Canada, yourself included, to advise us what's happening in your jurisdictions across the country. What is the projected work? Where are your needs? And with that, we've identified specializations that we could target, or maybe weaknesses within existing training. So to meet a couple of key things with UTIP is to either improve Red Seal trades or increase access. We've been able to do both of those, but also addressing the things brought forward by our training directors. So for example, controlled bolting, cold cutting, fusion training, a lot of these things, and again, not micro-credentials in the form that's being broadcast out there.
Right. Prerequisites.
You are first and foremost a trades professional in the pipe trades, and then you pursue this additional training that's specialized. So there's some great specialty training that we've been able to put out there. And why did this help us? Because the initial investment to engage in just the fusion alone, we've at this point invested upwards of $3 million in equipment that's been distributed all across Canada for fusion. And without the grants, we would have still achieved this.
Yeah.
It would have been a slower process.
Of course.
Right? As you know, we are a democracy, and we have funds that we have trustees, and we go through an entire approval process. When you are able to leverage funds and demonstrate we have partnership with the federal government, it's certainly very helpful, and it allows us to expedite the process. So we've been able to address some of those fundamental needs identified by our locals, but we've also been able to innovate and adjust our programs. We have increased upwards of 30% of our intakes of women in the trades since UTIPs started. So
that's amazing.
Our results are they're showing, right? It's not just, we don't just talk about things, we actually execute them. And when I say we, I mean all locals collectively working together to those goals. And on other underrepresented groups as well, as identified through UTIP.
Well, I think that's one of the big themes in those UTIP grants when we talk about it. It's that outreach to not just our members, but our communities. And within that community sense, we speak not just about our local communities, but the UA local communities that we have. And being able to connect those dots across the country, being able to see that interaction between the different training coordinators. And I know we've helped and taken advantage before of simply the mobility aspect.
Yes.
Being able to use multiple trainers from across the country to reach as many members and people within the community as possible.
Yes.
And like you said, I think it's something that would have happened anyway, but with the funding available through UTIP, it really expedited that process.
Yes, absolutely. We always said in the past, and my predecessors, we've been the best kept secret. We need to change that. We shouldn't be a secret. And, you know, to the point that you just brought up, I think it's important to mention NAS, the National Association of Union Schools and Colleges, and maybe a lot of our members aren't really as familiar as they should be. We're going to be embarking on a marketing campaign to make them more aware, and it's kind of a red seal, neighbor's red seal, and that it follows the same principles of standardized training and access to this training through the equipment that was purchased through UTIP in many instances. And when I say that, co-funded by our own funds and the federal government, and we've been extremely successful. And you know, one of the things with to your point there is the UA, our international office, made a statement a few years ago, pre-pandemic, and it was that no member should be left behind. And you know, it's irony when we talk about UTIP and saying improve accessibility, but you know, even for our members that are within our great organization, we have local unions and training centers across the country that some could be at over 10,000 members, and then some could be in the hundreds of members.
Yes.
And it varies all in between. And here's the thing, that means the access to the trainers, access to the classrooms, the access to everything else. Though we have capacity of square footage of space to train in, the availability of people, if I go and I register a course to make it feasible as a training director of my home local, as an example, I've got to explain to my trustees the feasibility of sustaining this type of program, as you know firsthand. And what usually happens is, you know, if you have a smaller local, you could have, and even if you have a large local, you put this course on, and if it has a minimum requirement to break even that you're going to be okay here of maybe 5 or 6 attendees and you only have 3 register, you got to cancel. But maybe those 3 members, they really needed that program because of a job opportunity that was coming in the future for them, and they weren't able to access it. But now we've adjusted. We've improved our system, and 170 was one of the early adopters of this system, and thank you for that. And that now our locals across the country have agreed to share instructors. So by all the different broadcasting equipment that we've purchased, our utilization of Microsoft Teams integrated into our processes, we're able to remotely train on the theory. I must qualify this first, on the theory aspects of training. So say it was medical gas, you might be able to pursue all theory aspects remotely, and then at your home local, now it reduces the amount of engagement at that level to assign an instructor. So it mitigates costs for individual locals, because you were going to run this course anyway.
Yeah.
And you have these empty seats. Now you get to share the costing, right? So, and you don't have to cancel courses.
Yeah.
So it means we're actually not just saying that we're going to not leave a member behind. It doesn't matter if you're a 10,000 person local or a 200 person local, everybody has access to the training.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do.
And we've proven that it's worked already.
Yes.
You know, it's something, it's not where we're planning, we're hoping, we're anything. We've proven many times now, actually, how successful this format is. Moving on, last couple softball questions here.
Yeah.
We have a busy summer ahead of us.
Yes.
Off the top, we've got the UA National Competition coming up in Montreal. We've got ITP in Ann Arbor, CAF. What is a highlight for you through the summer with all of these things going on? What do you have circled on the Mike Gordon calendar looking forward to? If you had to pick one, maybe 2.
I got to tell you, you know, and I don't want to be blowing smoke to give myself an easy opportunity for an answer, but how do you to qualify one is disqualifying others?
Oh, fair enough.
And I got to say, I don't think any of those are not important. We have to be in the room, being part of conversations and being engaged. When we talk about ITP, the UA International Training Program, and to clarify that for our viewers, every year, the UA, we have instructors from across North America. And this does not suggest that this is all of our instructors. We have tens of thousands of instructors across North America, but we have ongoing credentials upgrading and networking events that happen once a year in Ann Arbor, Michigan, that coincides with our International Apprentice Competition. And with there, I can tell you There's something special about that.
Yeah.
Number one, we take over the entire campus. We essentially draw a huge revenue source to that neighborhood, to that city.
Yeah.
And you know, the pandemic showed that there was extreme negative impacts to that city when we had to unfortunately cancel for one of the years and couldn't be there in person. They were significantly impacted, and it was really saddening to see the after effect, but they've bounced back really, really well. And, you know, to the value, it's our members are going out there and you're having the best of the best deliver a training program. And then all the instructors that attend take that information back to their locals, improve upon it, and send it back again.
Yes.
So we're progressively and exponentially. What's a union if not united? And I think ITP stands as one of the best examples of the unification of all of our locals and our mindsets as training departments all across North America. And I'd be remiss if I didn't include Ireland and Australia, our affiliates.
Absolutely.
So it's a great opportunity of the meeting of the minds and bringing that information back. But what about networking? I mean, if your wheels don't turn and you don't get energized when you're at ITP, then you don't have a heartbeat inside your body. That's all I could say, because I think every time we've ever been, you go back super excited and energized to be able to conquer the world and bring these innovations back to your members, because you see by our nature as trainers that this means great things for our members, opportunities. The one expectation they have of us is to bring training that provides them opportunities to work. And that's what we're doing. So that's a big one. CAF, Canadian Apprenticeship Forum, is not run by the UA, but we've begun to engage more, because reports that are funded by government that are generated through CAF don't currently reflect our statistics, and our statistics are real. So we need to be involved in those conversations, and that's why I thank Local 170 and your being there, Local 56, Local 213, and several others for being out at the recent CAF. We're going to continue to engage, continue to expand, and if we're not in the room during those conversations, there's the saying, you're kind of on the menu. Right. So we do have a responsibility, not to put a negative spin on it, but by saying that, but there's a level of truth to it. If you're not there when the important decisions are made and when statistics that are generated by government, what statistics are they going to reference in their decision-making processes? So if you're not there to contribute, you can't complain afterwards.
You have to be your own biggest advocate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great, Mike. Well, I wanted to thank you again for coming on. It's been a busy week here at Western Regional Apprentice Competition. Always great to have you in the town. Hopefully we'll see you again soon and have you back on.
Absolutely. It's been a privilege. I'm looking forward to seeing our apprentices, as I said, and you know what? I concede the fun local. I mean, who can set this up and execute like this? I'm just saying. But you know, it's a privilege to be here. I'm really looking forward to this evening and looking forward to seeing the advancing candidates come to Local 144 in Montreal, Quebec. Training Director Mikel Couture, Business Manager Sylvain Morissette is inviting everybody out there. This is their anniversary year. We've got a very big celebration coming up, so we encourage industry to come out and view what's there. We'll have trade shows. We're going to have an industry day and all kinds of great things, and we're going to have our champions from all across Canada converge in one location to see who's going to represent Canada as District 6 at the UA International Competition in Ann Arbor come August.
That's
so
fantastic.
Really excited.
Real exciting summer.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. And to everyone out there, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.
Thank you.